Blessings, everyone. This is Lasagna with the Goddess Key. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. As I mentioned in my first episode, the day one of entrepreneurship, I mentioned that I would do a video on the notary side of what I do here in the state of Georgia. Often over the past several years, and even recently, you come across a lot of videos where you have people who do notary and they do make quite well in what they do. But for the most part, these would be people who are not in the same state that I am in the state of Georgia, because notaries vary from state to state. So if you're interested in being a notary, please stick around, especially if you are in the state of Georgia. I can only speak on for the notaries that are in Georgia and what I know about doing notaries here. Now, if you're looking to make a six-figure income doing notaries in the state of Georgia, I'm not going to say that you can't, but it's going to be very, very, very difficult to make a living doing notaries full time here. And that is because of how the laws are in the state of Georgia. And I think, in the state of South Carolina. So in the state of Georgia, for you to do notaries, where the bulk of the money comes from, and which is called a signing agent, which I am a signing agent. Those come from where you do mortgage closings or refinance of mortgages, something that's dealing along with mortgages. Unfortunately, here in the state of Georgia, mortgage closings are done by attorneys only. And also in the state of South Carolina, I'm not sure if that's still the case. I know when I started in 2016, this was the case. So, and also in other states, to have your documents notarized can range from $15 and up. Some states are even cheaper. Some states are even free. If my mind, I think maybe a few states may have it where you can get it free or for $1 or something like that. So if that's where the drawback comes from, if you're trying to do notaries here in the state of Georgia, it's going to be very difficult to, one, do it as a full-time job, and to mortgage closings for any property that is in the state of Georgia. Notary public, it cannot do a mortgage closing on a home in Georgia. It is only done by attorneys, because if you have purchased a home in Georgia, you know, when you go to the closing, you go to the attorney's office and not meet at a notary. So that's where a lot of people who makes the large amounts in the six figures, this is where they get the bulk of their revenue, is because of mortgage closings. So how do you do a notary business if you are in the state of Georgia? First, you would need to go to whatever county you are a resident in, and you would apply for your notary permit or certificate and pay your fee. They will initiate for you to fill out paperwork and those things for you to complete, and then they will issue you a certificate and the forms for you to order your notary stamp, which then you would take it to Office Depot or Staples or whatever supplier that you choose to order your stamp from. I went to Office Depot and showed them my paperwork, ordered this type of stamp that I wanted, and then it came in the mail. But you cannot get a notary stamp unless you have the paperwork from the county. So from there, then you can list your business on Google. So of course you want to come up with a name for your business. If you want to do a sole proprietor or LLC, however you want to set that up, whatever is best for you. I have a LLC, which I incorporate my other things that I do as in addition to the notary. Now, for all intents and purposes, you can start doing notaries, what is considered to be called general notaries. So you can list your business on Google and set your hours and maybe do some advertisement on Google to have your business company listed when someone first pulls up looking for a notary, and then go from there. So in the state of Georgia, I think a notary is $3 or something like that just for the stamp. And what you can do from there is charge for your time and travel. And it will also be beneficial to take the Georgia notary class that they do offer, which is for free. But if you want to take the test and get a certificate stating that you passed and understand how to perform notaries, at the time it was $10. I'm not sure if that amount has went up, but you can check with the county or the Secretary of State to see what that amount would be. But I believe it's with the county that you will find out if if that fee has changed. From there, you're all set to do notaries. Now, if you want to be a signing agent where you get calls from different companies that's looking for a notary to do various types of notaries. So there are lots of other things that need a notary to be presented. You can do mortgage closings on states outside of Georgia, but that person has to be in the state of Georgia. So for example, if I was buying a home in Tennessee, then a notary from Georgia would come and perform the closing for that home in Tennessee because the buyer is in Georgia and they cannot make it to Tennessee to do the closing. So then that's where you, the notary, could perform the closing on the home for Tennessee, because Tennessee allows a notary to do mortgage closings versus in Georgia, they only allow attorneys to do closings. So I hope that makes sense. And there's other things that I have worked on as well. Before you do mortgage closings, you will have to be certified or gone through a class certifying that you are a signing agent. And you must have insurance and gone through a background check. So keep those things in mind. And you will need office equipment such as a laser printer, because your documents will need to be printed on from a laser printer, not inkjet. You will need some additional things like scan and fax, because sometimes the title companies will want the documents to be scan or fax back before you put them in the mail to be sent to the title company to ensure that everything is correct before you put it into the mail. So just in case you didn't do something correct, you have to go back and make the correction. So this is where going to a class excuse me, going through a class will be beneficial for you to know exactly what you need to do when you're doing a mortgage closing, because if it's not done right, then it holds up the closing for that client and it ends up costing a lot of money, and they will deduct it from your pay, and you will inquire cost if you have to go back and make any corrections. And this is where also your insurance, notary insurance, comes into play, because you don't want them to sue you for doing something incorrect on a mortgage closings. Now, getting mortgage closings for people who are in a different, that's in the state of Georgia, that's in a different state, is very few and far between, and they do tend to pay more money than a regular general notary. So you're looking at, just depends upon how much the how many forms, how many papers needs to be notarized, needs to be scanned back, the cost of shipping, those type of things will factor in how much you will get paid. So on average, average rate starts from probably 150 up to maybe 2, 3, 400, sometimes $500. Just depends upon where you are, what the title company, excuse me, who's the title company, what's all involved, how many people are involved, location, how many forms needs to be scanned or faxed back. So you have to take into account all of that and how much time it's going to take for you to prep and to go through all of your documents to make sure that you don't miss anything during the signing. So all those things play a factor. But again, these are just some of the general things that you would need to do if you wanted to set up a notary business here in Georgia. You don't have to become a signing agent. You can just be a local notary and do general notaries where someone needs, hospital documents notarized, power of attorney, divorce papers, verification for schools, those type of things, switching of deeds, those type of things are considered to be general notaries, and you can base it on how many people, whatever the case may be, what you feel is comfortable for you and your travel and your expense to perform the notary. But that's the overview or general overview of being a notary here in Georgia. And just don't believe the hype that you're going to make, 100 plus doing general notaries here in the state of Georgia, because that's not a reality. And I've had lots of people who have reached out to me wanting a job or looking how to get into the notary business, and they it's not all that you think it's going to entail. And but that's basically it. Is unless you want to become a signing agent and really get more in depth into doing other notaries that's outside of Georgia, you really don't have to do the class or have a special printer, because the customer will bring whatever documents they have and just perform the notary to make sure that the person is who they are by providing their valid ID, and you do the notary, and that's pretty much it. So I hope that this video was informative and you found it of value. You can visit my website, KMT Mobile Notary. I'm sorry, KMTnotary.com, or you can Google my business here, which is KMT Mobile Notary on Google, and you can see all of my fabulous reviews. Or you can go to google.com and search for KMT Mobile Notary, and you can see my mobile notary service. And I'd be happy to provide any more information if you like. So thank you for watching, and peace and blessings.